Today on Rappler, pork barrel queen Janet Napoles is now in police custody. Senator Santiago says Napoles does not qualify as state witness. And the Philippines sustains its stellar growth with 7.5% GDP for the second quarter. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. The two-week search for the woman tagged in the multi-billion peso pork barrel scam is over. Just hours after a bounty is placed on her head, Janet Napoles surrenders. Bea Cupin reports.
The saga of pork barrel queen Janet Napoles reaches its lowest point, police custody. For 2 weeks, officials went on a manhunt for the woman at the center of the multi-billion peso pork barrel scam. On August 14, a Makati court orders the arrest of Napoles and her brother Reynald Lim for illegally detaining their cousin-turned-whistleblower Ben Horloy. On Wednesday, President Aquino puts a 10 million peso reward for information on the fugitive. Hours later, she surrenders to the president. Interior Secretary Mar Roxas says it was Napoles' lawyer, Lorna Kapunan, who sent surrender feelers to presidential spokesman Edwin Lasherda. Lasherda met Kapunan and Napoles' husband at White Space in Makati before proceeding to meet Napoles herself at a cemetery in Taguig. At 9:37 p.m., she arrives in Malacanang. There, she comes face-to-face with Aquino, who spoke with her and her lawyer for 10 minutes. Napoles says she fears for her life, but Malacanang does not explain the special treatment it gives the country's most notorious fugitive. Wednesday night, Roxas drops hints she could turn into a state witness.
Si Director General Purisima, together with the SAF team, was going to then bring Ms. Napoles dito sa CAMERAMAN. Nung paalis na kami, sabi ng Pangulo, puyat na rin lang tayo lahat, damay-damay na tayo, hatid ko na rin kayo doon.
A proposal that stirs anger in social media. Opposition lawmakers fear Malacanang will use Napoles against the administration's critics. On Thursday, Roxas clarifies there are no discussions yet.
Is she now a witness?
That will be pursuant to whatever legal process will happen.
Napoles spends the night in Camp Crame. In an office, the president himself checked to make sure it was secure. A Makati court is now ordering her transfer to the Makati City Jail, although her lawyers asked the court to stop the transfer, citing dangers to her life.
Yes, andito pa si Janet Napoles sa Crame. And in about 5 minutes, may isang team ng CIDG na luluwas papuntang Makati City Jail para i-survey at mag-conduct na security survey and inspection doon sa projected na paglilipatan ni Janet Napoles.
Napoles' brother remains at large with a 5 million peso bounty on his head. Bea Cupin, Rappler, Manila.
Janet Napoles is asking a Makati court to stop her transfer from Camp Crame to the Makati City Jail. The motion was filed past court hours, but the court accommodated it because of a prior call from the Napoles camp. Hours earlier, the Regional Trial Court Branch 150 of Makati issued a commitment order to Napoles, which was delivered to her in Camp Crame. The order paves the way for her transfer to the Makati City Jail. Napoles lawyer Ina Zamora cites security reasons for opposing the transfer. In an unprecedented move, no less than the chief of the Philippine National Police and at least 3 cabinet secretaries visit the Makati City Jail, where Napoles will be transferred from Camp Crame. PNP Director General Adrian Portugal arrives at the city jail 6 p.m. on Thursday, saying he wants to make sure the area is safe for Napoles. An hour later, Interior Secretary Roxas, Presidential Spokesperson Edwin Lasherda, and Communications Secretary Ricky Carandang arrive at the jail. Roxas says Aquino sent them to ensure the safety of Napoles.
Siguraduhin mo na ligtas yan. Kaya personal, ako mismo at saka si Chief PNP ang nandito, yung Chief ng CIDG nandito para siguraduhin yung kaligtasan.
On Wednesday, Napoles surrenders to President Aquino, saying she feared for her life. Senator Miriam Santiago says Janet Napoles cannot turn state witness just to escape prosecution. In a press statement, Santiago lists 5 requirements for an accused to become a state witness. Among these requirements, do not appear to be the most guilty. Santiago says Napoles will find it, quote, extremely difficult to prove her claim that she is not the most guilty. If Napoles is charged with plunder, her lawyer must file a motion for discharge to be a state witness. A hearing will have to be held to support the discharge and will require the prosecution to present evidence and sworn statements of witnesses. Senate Majority Leader Alan Peter Cayetano says he finds talk of Napoles becoming state witness, quote, sickening. He adds, we should get the testimony from her, but not in exchange for becoming a state witness, which is unnecessary. Otherwise, how will we hold accountable individuals abusing government funds if we will always offer this? On the first day of the Senate probe into the pork barrel scam, the Commission on Audit, or COA, says 2 more senators misused their Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF. COA Chair Grace Pulido-Tan says details will be released in an upcoming audit report on the government-controlled Philippine Forest Corporation. Pressed to name names, Tan says she couldn't do so because of protocol, but drops hints about their identity. She says the 2 senators were not present in the Thursday hearing. The senators who did not attend the hearing are Juan Ponce Enrile, Bong Revilla, Gringo Anasan, Miriam Santiago, Lauren Legarda, Lito Lapid, Bongbong Marcos, Tito Soto, and Cynthia Villar. In a report released 2 weeks ago, COA tagged 192 Solons in the misuse of the pork barrel. COA says fund releases from 2007 to 2009 show Senators Enrile, Revilla, and Jinggoy Estrada allocated funds to NGOs linked to Janet Napoles. The report also found at least 6.156 billion pesos was released to 82 dubious NGOs. Of these, 10 are presently linked to Napoles. The Philippines saw what a Facebook post can do on Monday after tens of thousands of people held nationwide rallies against pork barrel abuse in what came to be known as the hashtag Million People March. Ateneo School of Government Dean Tony Lavinia and UP Diliman Sociology Professor Nicole Curato says the leaderless nature of the event, organized around issues and ideas instead of personalities, was a historic first.
Piece. But what's interesting here is how social media became a platform for all of these funny and playful ways of articulating dissent. And to me, that's a very unique function when a protest event is kind of not centralized, but mediated through the social media.
Lavinia says news of the pork barrel scam drove people to the streets, but adds the Napoles' lifestyle also contributed to the anger.
But what is it? What united the people?
Medyo mababa, but I think it's Jean Napoles and the vlog.
That's it nga, di ba?
It's the scandal factor.
Libel, right?
Right.
But I don't mind. I don't mind whatever way how people got agitated, but visuals agitate people. You know, I mean, more than anything else. You know that. I mean, they can write, they can say, and but visuals, when people see, how they compare their own, the way they work hard and they pay taxes, and people suffer, people are actually hungry, and then start to see this. It's that's what really angered.
There was definitely.
Yes, that's right.
Following Monday's movement, people are now asking what happens next. Curato says the challenge now is to identify concrete objectives.
One of the challenges here is how we move forward, because once we have registered dissent in this manner, it becomes more challenging in terms of organizing what kinds of demands we want to articulate, what kinds of proposals we want to push for. And I think
Lavinia adds the latest developments, including the surrender of Janet Napoles, provide a clearer focus.
In a way, it's not very difficult for us because there's a part of this drama that's unfolding that's that's a very clear focus. The prosecution, conviction part. You know what I mean? Because that becomes very focused on who can be held liable, right? So I would venture to say that it's easier to target than to target something very abstract like PDAF or pork barrel. But here you're actually directing your energy and your efforts at getting some very high up personalities to be to be snared in this. And
The Philippines remains the best performing country in Southeast Asia, matching only China's 7.5% GDP in the second quarter. How will this trickle down? Sherry Regalado reports.
The Philippines is still on a roll. Amid lingering risk and uncertainties abroad, the Philippines grows an impressive 7.5% in the second quarter, slightly lower than the first quarter. The country is poised to exceed the target of 6 to 7% full-year growth for 2013. The Philippines continues to beat Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. The best-performing country in the ASEAN, it matches the growth of powerhouse China, even surpassing more advanced economies in Asia. The country remains dependent on the service sector, which accounts for more than half of the gross domestic product. But the most encouraging growth comes from the industry sector, which recorded a 10.3% growth this quarter. The rise of the industry sector, particularly manufacturing, is seen as the answer to poverty. The government is banking on sustained growth in the industrial sector to solve joblessness among workers in the agriculture sector.
To improve the productivity of labor, you have to create jobs, you have to invest in other sectors of the economy. That's why our focus is reviving industry, reviving manufacturing. Let's create jobs there as we improve the productivity of agriculture.
Agriculture employs 1/3 of the labor force but has performed dismally, even shrinking in the second quarter. Data from last April's labor force survey shows unemployment increased in April this year to 7.5%. 640,000 lost their jobs in agriculture.
We need to diversify the economy. We need to diversify agriculture.
Economic managers say it is important to keep on growing more than 7% in the coming years to make this stellar growth trickle down to those who need it most. Sherry Regalado, Rappler, Manila.
Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 7, scientists say a slowing in global warming is simply, quote, a hiatus from higher temperatures. Climate skeptics say this undermines the greenhouse theory, but researchers say the slowdown is because of a natural but temporary cooling in the tropical Pacific Ocean. Over the last 50 years, temperatures rise by an average of 0.12 degrees Celsius per decade. But over the last 15 years, the increase slowed to a rate of 0.05 degrees Celsius per decade, even though fossil fuel carbon emissions continue to break new records. At number 8, the World Health Organization says 8 new cases of the deadly coronavirus Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS, are registered in Saudi Arabia. WHO reports 2 men from the capital Riyadh died. MERS still has no vaccine and has a high fatality rate of more than 51%. Coronavirus MERS is considered a cousin of the SARS virus that erupted in Asia in 2003. And at number 9, Twitter acquires a startup specializing in tuning into online banter by TV viewers. Trender chief executive Mark Guggenheim announces the New York-based firm is becoming part of the popular microblogging site. Trender tracks and analyzes social network exchanges about television shows to provide insights about what viewers think of programming. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has its own mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. You click how you feel and your vote comes down to the middle of the mood navigator that crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers the most emotionally. These top 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. Today is a particularly colorful day. Interestingly enough, the surrender which happened last night, Napoles surrenders, you see 35% happy, but it is a blue color that's majority vote on that, 51% amused. Same with the award yesterday given by the President, Pinoy, 10 million peso reward for Napoles arrest. 10% angry, 11% annoyed, 31% happy, and 43% amused. You only see this green here. Story today, Philippines grows 7.5% in second quarter 2013, 61% happy, but interestingly enough, you also have 31% afraid. As you can see, this happy, which is also in other stories, bring together the mood of the day. Today, most people are happy. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, August 29th, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.